is the first ever live reaction video that I've done on this YouTube channel. So this is the 2026 FIFA World Cup matches ranked out of all of these tiers so far in the World Cup stages. So let's get to it. Mexico vs South Africa. I say it was kind of decent. It's a decent matchup so far. South Korea versus Czechia. It was a really good match, especially when South Korea scored at the final stages. Canada versus Bosnia. I fell asleep. United States versus Paraguay. I say it's one of the better matchups so far. I never seen the United States that dominant on another country when it comes to the World Cup or even anything outside of a tournament. Like I always expected the U.S. to maybe draw against Costa Rica if they're lucky, but I never expected the United States to score for it past Paraguay. So yeah. Qatar versus Switzerland. I damn near wasted my time. Like, it was the most driest match in the entire tournament so far, to be honest with you. Brazil versus Morocco was quite mid. I didn't really expect anything after the first goals from those countries. The game just turned into just other sides just creating meaningless chances at the end of the day. Haiti versus Scotland. Same thing. It's kind of mid. After this first Scottish goal, there wasn't really any comparisons later in the matchups against them. Australia versus Turkey. It was a really good. It was a really good performance from the Australians. I didn't expect the Turkish people to lose that game necessarily when it comes to my predictions on the World Cup, but yeah. Germany versus Curacao. I'll say it was a very decent performance from the Germans. No one really expected Curacao to beat the Germans, to be for example, but their first goal was iconic though. Many people were shocked by the first goal from them. Netherlands versus Japan. It was one of the best matches in the tournament so far. I really like the combative style of football from both teams. I say Japan is the most entertaining team to watch in the World Cup right now. I say it has to be them. Cote d'Ivoire versus Ecuador. I say that Cote d'Ivoire. It was a good performance from Cote d'Ivoire against the overrated Ecuador side, so I say it's quite decent. It was a decent match. Sweden versus Tunisia. It was okay. I said it was a very decent match because nobody expected Tunisia to do that much. After sacking their coach, they were kind of looking to not do very well in the World Cup so far. Yeah. Spain versus Cape Verde. Vozinha had a lot of goals saved against them from the Spanish offensive, so I say it was kind of mid. Unless you like a goalkeeper saves, I don't think it was worth the matchup. And Belgium versus Egypt, I damn near fell asleep. Saudi Arabia versus Uruguay, a 2-2 draw. I say it was okay, but Mozzarella definitely should not be playing football right now. So yeah. Iran versus New Zealand. I think Iran could have won this match. I say Iran could have won this match, but I'm just gonna have to fall into mid because yeah. France versus Senegal. It was a really good matchup from the French team. French really showed themselves as being one of the most dangerous sides in this entire World Cup. I mean, their chemistry was absolutely perfect. I didn't expect Senegal to win, but I mean, they are African champions. I didn't expect Senegal to win against France, but it was just it was just an overwhelming performance from the French offensive side. Iraq versus Norway. I say it's one of the best matches in the World Cup so far. I really like the aggressive style of football that the Norwegians play against the Iraqis. The Iraqis had no chance in this group. Algeria versus Argentina. It was a really good matchup. This was probably one of the best performances I've seen from Lionel Messi. Austria versus Jordan. I say it was a really good matchup. It was a decent matchup between the two countries. Although Austria win the match, I say that at least Jordan scored their first ever World Cup goal. Portugal versus Congo, 1-1 draw. I say it was decent. I mean, the Congo scored their first ever World Cup goal in this match, so yeah. I mean, Portugal could have won the match, but their striker was not as best. Their striker, Cristiano Ronaldo, wasn't doing really well in this matchup. England versus Croatia. I was very satisfied about the result. It was a really good matchup between England and West Croatia, 4-2. Ghana versus Panama. I'm probably gonna say mid. I'm gonna say it's mid, but the last Ghana goal was really good, so I have to accomplish them about that. Uzbekistan versus Colombia. This was prime South American football. I really love this matchup so far. The Colombians, especially that final goal from Colombia, where you saw how they scored the last goal. It was a really fine matchup. Czechia versus South Africa. I say it was kind of mid. Czechia could have actually won the match, but their defense conceded the last goal in the penalties. Switzerland versus Bosnia. I say it was a very decent performance from the Swiss. I probably need to make another tier list. I can't keep saying every single game was decent. I'm probably going to have to divide it from add a row below. I'm going to just call this row. Let me see. I think I'm going to just call this row decent matchup. Or decent matchup. No. I'm probably just gonna say. I'm gonna say that the Swiss matchup was very solid. It was a solid performance. I'm probably just gonna add a couple countries into this one as a solid performance. So yeah. Okay, I feel like this is good enough. Canada versus Qatar. Canada actually had one of the best performances I've seen from the national team so far. So I'm just going to say it was a very good matchup between them. I didn't expect Canada to win their first ever World Cup match in this type of fashion, so yeah. Mexico versus South Korea. I thought this was going to be one of the best matches in the tournament. It was pretty solid. I mean, especially since Mexico scored their goal against a South Korean goal mistake. So, yeah. Australia versus the United States. I said this game was okay. It was a really decent matchup between the two countries. Scotland versus Morocco. Morocco could have scored way more goals in this matchup, but I'm gonna just go down as decent. I say Scotland could conceded more goals, but their defense was really it was okay. It became better throughout the match. Brazil versus Haiti. I'm gonna say I say it's solid. I say it was a solid performance by the Brazilians. Turkey versus Paraguay. Oh yeah. I think this is the same game that had that one ref meme at this game. So I say it's really good. I say it's really good since the Paraguayans knocked out the Turks in the group stages. I mean, the Turks couldn't even score a single goal, despite them having by far the most amount of chances out of anyone in this matchup. The Netherlands versus Sweden. Very good. I say it was a very good performance, especially when the Netherlands scored 5-1 against the Swedes. Germany versus Cote d'Ivoire. I say Cote d'Ivoire could have won this, but the Germans came back in the end. So I say it was a solid matchup between the two countries. Africa really became very good in this tournament so far. They almost every single African country besides Tunisia made it to the knockouts. Ecuador versus Curacao. Even though this was a 0-0 nil draw, I say it was a pretty solid performance, especially by the Curacao goalkeeper. Tunisia versus Japan. Oh, I say this was a very good matchup between those two countries. Spain versus Saudi Arabia. I say it was a very honest matchup between those two countries. I expected Spain to win, but we had too many draws in this World Cup so far. I feel like the last World Cup 2022 World Cup group stages were better because you couldn't just draw your way into a knockout rounds. You actually had to win some matches and prevent you from losing matches so far. So I say that the last one was a little bit better, but we could have a better group stage matchup in this World Cup tournament. Belgium versus Iran. I'm gonna say that it was probably mid. It was pretty mid. Like, it was a draw, by the way. Uruguay versus Cape Verde. Also, again, it wasn't really like a cool matchup. I know Vizinha did pretty well in this match, but yeah, it was just mid. New Zealand versus Egypt. Egypt's first ever World Cup win, despite them qualifying in the 1938 tournament like 90 years ago. They won their first ever matchup this year, so I'd say it was a pretty good performance from the Egyptians so far. Argentina versus Austria. Again, another Lionel Messi masterclass. He becomes the all-time goal scorer in the World Cup competition, so I say it was a very solid performance from the Argentines. France versus Iraq. France was damn near scary in this match. They were damn near scary. I could say it was one of the best matches so far. It was almost very close to being one of the best matchups so far. I think South Korea and Czechia could be one of the better matchups I've seen. Norway versus Senegal. This was just a goal fest. I really liked the hardcore pressing from the Norwegians against the Senegalese. I say it was a very good matchup. Jordan versus Algeria. Algeria saved themselves in this match by winning 2-1, eliminating the Jordanians in this competition. So it was a pretty decent matchup. I didn't have too many complaints. Portugal versus Uzbekistan. This was just a pure goal fest. I say it's probably one of the. Is it very good? I'd probably say it's probably like one of the better matchups so far. Yeah. England versus Ghana. So a 0-0 draw. it was okay. I say it was okay. I didn't had too many complaints about the match. Panama versus Croatia. I mean, decent. Colombia versus Congo. This could have been a nil-nil draw, but until the final minutes where Colombia scored one goal against the Congo goalies, so it goes down as decent. The Swiss versus the Canadians, so mm, it was okay. The Bosnians versus Qatar. I say it's probably like this one. The Scottish versus the Brazilians. It was a very good match. The Moroccans versus the Haitians. It was actually one of the better matches in the World Cup so far, especially when Haiti scored one of their first goals in the entire World Cup. Not only that, they drew against the Moroccans until the Moroccans scored back with two. I say it was a very decent performance from the nations. Mexico versus Czechia. Very good. South Africa versus Korea. I say this is one of the most biggest shocks in the tournament so far. I didn't expect South Africa to actually win. I saw a training. I saw in the Instagram reels. I saw one of those training videos against the Koreans, and I thought the South Africans were screwed from the last couple matchups between the Mexicans and the Czechs. But the South Africans actually performed really well in this tournament, and they should be happy with that performance against Korea. Ecuador versus Germany. Again, one of the more better matchups. Nobody expected Ecuador to win against Germany. They had to win against Germany or they would have been knocked out of the World Cup. So, yeah. Curacao versus Cote d'Ivoire. It was okay. Tunisia versus the Netherlands. I expected the Dutch to score way more goals, but it was a solid performance from them. The Japanese versus the Swedes. It was okay. It was really decent. It was a decent matchup. The Turkey versus the United States. I say it's one of the better matchups in the World Cup so far. I didn't expect the Turks to win against the United States, despite their last performances in the knockout. I'm sorry, group stages. So I thought the United States was gonna maybe defeat the Turks, but I was wrong again. Yeah. I kind of fell asleep against Paraguay versus Australia. Norway versus France. That was a masterclass from Dembele. I say it's really good, but it could be one of the better matches in the World Cup. Senegal versus Iraq. Senegal had to score many goals to make themselves into the knockout matches, so I say it was a very good performance from them. I mean, nobody expected them to score 5-0 against Iraq. Uruguay versus Spain. I say this match was mid, but the last final minutes were the Cantonbilisi. I don't know how to spell his name. He fought against the ref. That was one of the most insane moments in the tournament, bro. Like this guy, one of the players, I don't know his name. I think he plays for Fluminense. He tried to fight winning the refs after they made a red card against him. So yeah, it was a pretty bad matchup against them. It was mid. At the match, the entire match was kind of mid. I expected Spain to score way more goals on them, but yeah, it was just whatever. Cape Verde versus Saudi Arabia. It was okay. It was quite mid. New Zealand versus Belgium. I'll say it's decent. Decent. Egypt versus Iran. That last minute VAR goal that erased Iran from the tournament got to be one of the moments of the tournament. I said the entire match was decent. Panama versus England. It was okay. It was quite mid. I'm not even gonna lie. Croatia versus Ghana. It was decent. Colombia versus Portugal. It was quite mid. I expected this game to be one of the better matchups in the tournament so far. So, Congo versus Uzbekistan. This was an absolute classic from the Congolese. I say it's one of the better matches in the World Cup so far. Argentina versus Jordan. It was okay. It was solid. I say it was okay. It was decent. And Algeria versus Austria got to be one of the best matches in the entire tournament. I liked the combative style of football between the two nations. And yeah, that's all the group stage matchups so far.